John Haviland is an outdoor writer, has been for probably longer than I've been alive. And he got his start with a story published in Outdoor Life magazine back in the days when Outdoor Life was a magazine. And the story was called A Nest Full of Grizzlies.
That's right.
And Montana John here has been wrestling with grizzlies ever since, and he is here to tell us all about the wild adventures with grizzlies in Montana. Welcome to Ron Spomer Outdoors Podcast. Now, folks, whether you are going bear hunting or berry picking, and you might run into a bear and you're a little bit concerned about how to protect yourself, well, you should probably get a really big handgun that shoots a really big bullet that you can aim accurately. But if you don't think you can control that handgun, you might want to just jump to a diamond blade knife like this, the PD-1, with a incredibly sharp edge that diamond blade knives are famous for. That ought to be able to defend you from any grizzly bear. All right, folks, John Haviland, as I said, is an outdoor writer, has been for as long as I've been, probably. But he lives in Montana. His family is from Montana. His wife's family is from Montana, going back generations and generations, and they've got all kinds of bear stories. Not only has John survived bear attacks, but members of his family, his friends, everybody in Montana has survived a bear attack at one point or another, right?
That's why most of them only have one leg.
Is that what happened? Show him your fingers. Show him your fingers. See, he's only got two fingers left from a bear attack.
He pulled a pistol out of my hand and took the fingers with it.
That's why you should use the knife.
Yeah, you should have. I should have. Anyway, the first story I did up on the Flathead Reservation, this guy from back east, nobody told him there were grizzly bears. He was pheasant hunting in this orchard. There was, according to the game warden, tribal game wardens, there's 8 grizzly bears in there.
In one orchard?
In one bunch. He goes in there, and here comes a bear, 870 with bird shot, hits it, and then it's on top of him. And the other ones, he's got his gun like that, and there's a picture with the wad sticking out of the bear's back. Then the bear was pissed. It beat him up, and then it beat him up some more, and it grabbed him by the back of the neck, and he could hear these bones crunch. He said, "Oh, that's my skull." But no, his first shot had busted his jaw. So it was trying to...
So it couldn't bite him well.
Yeah, it was trying to bite his neck where it attaches to your skull.
Yeah. Couldn't get
so his friend, he hears him yelling, and his friend is a policeman. He comes running in. 2 other bears come out at him. He empties his gun on him, and then the bears left. And so he grabs his partner, and they go to the hospital. Tribal game wardens come later, and the bears attacked them. They killed 2, I think, big ones. Whoa. The ones that the policeman was shooting at, he never even hit those bears with his shotgun. There's not one pellet, but it took 13 slugs to kill that one grizzly bear from the game wardens.
The game warden shot a grizzly bear with 13 12-gauge slugs to kill it?
13 slugs to kill that bear.
See, I hear from a lot of people when I say I don't think the 12-gauge slug is your best option for bear, they all insist that it's the best.
But if you get that Foster slug, that pure lead one, it's like...
pancake.
Yeah, and so if you get like a good copper one like the Winchester...
Oh, yeah, that copper load and the Sabo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's different, but yeah. So...
How many bears were in that orchard?
There was 8 in one bunch.
And how many did they end up shooting?
I think they killed the one 2 other ones and the one he shot. And these tribal game wardens are big guys.
Yeah?
And they're like 250 pounds. They look like midgets next to those dead grizzlies.
Really? I didn't think Montana grizzlies were all that big.
They're...
Those were?
800-pound bear is a big... I mean, there's 1,000-pound bears.
Yeah, that's true, but I figured they would
not very few of them. But.
Wow. Well, John, you're always telling me about your family, and they were living on, were they farmers, ranchers, or what?
Ranchers.
Did they have some bear incidents?
Not really. I mean, pretty much by the time, well, my family originally got to Montana in 1863, but by the time, 1920 or something, they killed them all. I mean, not them, but I mean, they got poisoned, they got shot.
Yeah.
And the government was well on its way to killing the rest of them.
Well, so when did the grizzly attacks and things start? Because now you hear every year somebody gets killed or attacked at least.
Every month. But I think when they went on the endangered species list, they just started building and building. I mean, they came out of the Bob Marshall, and now they're all over the valleys. Now they're clean east of Lewistown.
Way out in the prairies.
Yeah.
I hear that stuff, but...
you hear the guys looking for antlers all the time getting attacked, and bow hunters, because you're bugling for elk. And what's a bear? Oh, I'm going over there.
Bugling for bears.
Yeah. But there's just a lot more of them. I mean, probably 10 times as many.
You bumped into them when you were hunting?
A few times. Every day you see tracks.
Tracks every day. Okay. What
So
about bumping into the actual bears?
Yeah, my son and I were watching some deer. This is out in the flat prairie. So there's a pretty nice buck. So we're going to go over here and bushwhack it. Well, there's a line of trees. A grizzly comes out there. So we're no. So we backtrack, go around the other end. Another bear comes out on this end. So we go around and get back in the truck and stay there.
There's the smart approach to avoiding grizzly bears. Stay in a truck.
So Gail's cousin, he's a rancher, and they had, for a cover crop, they had beets. What was it, beets, I think? Turnips.
Turnips.
And so the cows got in there, and they ate that green stuff, and it killed 6 or 8 of them. Gail's cousin goes down, Randy, the next morning, and there's dead cows everywhere, and there's a grizzly bear on each one.
6 grizzly bears?
Yeah, there's a grizzly bear on each dead cow. So he's going across the river on the bridge on the Blackfoot River, Big Blackfoot, and all of a sudden he's in his truck, and there's 3 bears on the bridge at the same time going across the bridge with him.
This is all the same day, the same time?
Yeah, I mean, same morning, at the same time.
God.
Every bear in the country went.
They were all right there. They
can smell for forever.
Wow. They can get on those that fast. Well, have you ever had an encounter where you've shot something and the bears have come in to get the carcass?
Where did I do that?
I thought you told me one time you were doing something like that.
Oh, we shot an elk. Where did we shoot the elk at?
You've shot too many elk, you can't remember. Isn't that a sad thing, folks, to have so many elk in your background that you can't even remember the time you got attacked by a grizzly bear after you shot an elk?
Well, that's right. I shot an elk, and then we got it out. But that night, there was a grizzly. I mean, that evening, there was a grizzly on the gut pile.
Oh, but you gotten all the meat first.
Yeah, we got the elk out, and you looked, and there was a bear on the gut pile. But I mean, they can smell, like you open your beer can, and 5 miles away they're going, Ron's got a beer.
They like beer.
I'm going over there.
Though that must explain the Ham's beer bears back in the 50s and 60s.
But I heard a grizzly bear's brain and his tongue are the same size. So they can smell just unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah.
And you have to do it to survive. They had to. I mean, if you could smell something the next mountain over, I mean, you went over there because, things are pretty slim for eating.
I noticed this up in British Columbia. We were caribou hunting, and we were quite high, and we got to the edge of the mountain where there was a bit of not really a cliff, but a pretty steep decline down to the valley. And way down there in that valley, and it had to be awfully close to a mile away, and several hundred feet lower than we were, there was a grizzly bear. And of course, the guide says, "Hey, check out that grizzly down there. Look at that. Wow, isn't that something? Boy, he's a big one, blah, blah, blah." And we're visiting about it, whispering back and forth. And that bear starts going, sniffing the air. Like I said, "Hey, he smells something." And the guide says, "I think he smells us." And sure enough, that bear moved off like he had smelled us. Huh. So that air had drifted down, the colder air drifted down into that valley that far. And he was able to pick that up.
Yeah, and it spread out like that, too, so he's smelling next to nothing.
Gosh, that's just amazing. Now, what about some of your friends? You've told me many tales over the years while we're out hunting about this guy and that guy running into a bear.
Well, my wife's secretary's nephew, bugling elk, grizzly bear comes in and attacks him.
Attacked him?
Yeah, and he couldn't get his bear spray out. So this guy is like 250 pounds, a big guy. For some reason, he takes his fist and runs it down the bear's throat. So he's got nothing from here, and then it starts throwing him around like a rag doll. And this is like 250-pound guy.
So it's got him by the arm.
Yeah, because his arm is down the thing's throat.
He shoved his arm down the throat like he would with a crocodile or a shark.
So then it's beating him up big time. Whoa. But his partner got there and he got his bear spray out and they sprayed it. And so minor injuries, they said on the paper, but yeah, from here down there's like nothing.
That ripped all the meat off his forearm?
Yeah.
Whoa. Is he able to use it after that? Or
no, he wears long sleeve shirts.
Cover up the scars.
But I mean, I don't have the wherewithal to do that.
To think to shove it down his throat.
And so, I mean, it was so quick he couldn't get his bear spray out.
That's how quickly the bear hit him?
Yeah. So, and the same with you. I'll pull out my pistol and shoot this bear. No, you're not. That's when you see them. They're taking a nap in the bushes, and you walk by, and they're on you.
Didn't you say something about your son up in Alaska bumping into a bear when he had spray or something?
So Brian, my son, who lives in Anchorage, he likes to run in the mountains. So he carry a .44 revolver. And I said, if you don't practice with it, don't carry it. So he started carrying bear spray, and he had it in his hand. And they call them brown bears up there. It had killed a moose on the trail, and it was already charging him when he came around the corner.
The bear was on a moose that he had killed?
It went right on the trail.
Oh, my gosh, that's a bad situation.
So, Brian gassed it at 10 feet.
He sprayed it at 10 feet?
Yeah, and he said that bear just hit that spray and left.
So was the bear coming at him?
Oh, it's charging him.
Charging him, and he sprayed. That's interesting.
But he had it in his hand. If he'd have had it in the holster, he'd have never gotten it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that too many people don't realize. They say, well, you should have a 12-gauge pump. Well, where are you going to carry that?
Yeah.
It sounds great if you're holding it like that when a bear jumps on.
But it's going to be on your back on a sling.
Yeah, you're going to have it on a sling in your back and never get it off.
Yep. Same with, carry a big .44 pistol. Well, sure.
Yeah, that's why I want a short barrel, like 3.5 inches. People say, well, that's too short to get your full velocity. I don't care about full velocity. I want to get around into that bear before it gets into me.
So where's around? Brain shot or spine.
Yeah, you
shoot it in the chest, it's going to kill you before it dies.
Yeah, this guy's got to bleed out, guys. You're not going to get any handgun or any handgun bullet that's big and powerful enough to kill a bear unless you hit him in the spine.
Yeah.
Or like Phil Shoemaker shooting a bear with a 9mm.
He shot it more than once.
4 times behind the shoulder in the heart. Pretty much, he knows his bears. He's a master guide. Been bear hunting up there pretty much all of his adult life. And he was able to kill that big brown bear with a little puny 9mm. He was shooting, if I remember right, 147 grain hard cast bullets. Mm-hmm. It was a load from buffalo boar that he really likes. And he said, the reason I had it was I did my testing, and he used a .44 and maybe a .454, and he was shooting different jugs to see how much penetration he'd get and all this stuff. And he said, what I realized, especially when I had my wife and my daughter, because I wanted to make sure they were protected and carrying the right things. And guys, you can go to did we do an interview with him, Betsy? Was he on a podcast or a regular channel?
He was on a podcast.
Podcast channel. Look on our podcast channel. The Bear Guide, Phil Shoemaker, fascinating. Everybody loves that video. But he said his wife and daughter were able to get, I don't know how many shots into that because it didn't recoil as much. They used a .44 and they could, get one shot off, but then before they could get another aim shot off, the bear would have been on them.
Yep.
If you want to get multiple shots in, you want less recoil. But what you said, you need enough penetration for that bullet. It really doesn't matter if the bullet's lighter or going a little bit slower or anything, but you just need to get it into the spinal column or the brain. You've got to have that central nervous system hit. And a big .454 or a 500 or 460 or a long-barreled thing, it's just not fast enough.
And you got to be a good shot. I mean, you got to have the wherewithal that here's a bear at 10 yards and you can pull it out and kill that thing.
Yeah.
Pull out your bear spray first. I mean, I'm a big believer. I mean, that's some wick, and you don't have to be a good shot.
Have you ever used it?
Well, almost.
Tell me about that.
Well, I just had that much left in the can.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a story here, folks.
So we're in Glacier Park, and my wife and I and my son were walking through Pagan Pass in the evening, and I looked like right there, and there was a big grizzly bear walking along like a dog off the trail.
How far away from you?
Here, 10 feet.
10 feet?
And then he's like 5 feet. But he doesn't care. I mean, he's like, yeah. So I get everybody behind me, and I get the bear spray out, and he circles us like that. And so then he's like, go away. So he just walks off. And Gail drops her water bottle. We're getting out of there. So I give her the bear spray, and I'll get your water bottle. So she goes, she
shakes it.
And then she said, like, there were compound swear words.
Compound swear words?
Because there was only this much bear spray there. Because the week before, I gassed the neighbor's dog because he was trying to get the little kindergartners. So I only had that much bear spray in there.
So you're hiking around in Glacier Park where you can't have a gun. So you've got your bear spray. You're going to protect everybody with this much capsaicin left in the bear spray.
I didn't think we'd have any problem.
Well, you didn't. Obviously, the bear didn't like you. Didn't
Anyway,
taste
so
man.
we went down to West Glacier that night and bought some more.
But you've never had to spray a bear.
No.
But Brian did, and it worked
Yeah, he
on a
said-
charging bear. So there you go. This counters a lot of the stories I hear from Alaska where they spray the bear right in the face and it just charges right through it and gets them anyway. I don't know. I've never sprayed any. I've carried the spray. But mostly I just use my rifle. If I'm out hunting and I'm worried about a bear, I figure I've got a rifle. It's going to be in my hand. I don't know that I need to drag a pistol around, but Betsy is always saying, you've got to get a big handgun.
A handgun, bear spray, and a rifle.
I was thinking of a suit of armor. Like
Something
the Knights
around
of
your
Old.
neck, anyhow.
Neck and head at least. Then they'd rip my belly open. I don't know. That's going to work. Now, what
But
were
I
you
think most of it, you don't have to worry about it, really. I mean,
Well, that's a good point, John.
don't stay out of the brush unless you're got a wounded animal there. Stay in the open.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places where you can't.
I know.
I'm in Alaska going Dall sheep hunting, so I'm out of the brush down on the river bars, and the sheep are up in the mountains, and in between us, there's the alder belt.
Yeah.
And you've got to go through those alders, and that is like this. You're ducking under these things, and there's bear trails going through those.
Yep.
It's about the only way you're going to get up there without a saw is to follow those trails. And it's pretty easy for Mr. Bear to be right around the corner unless you're making a lot of noise. And I think that's probably a good idea. You know, they say wear a bell, tinkle, tinkle. No, they find too many of those bells in bear poop. So you need to sing and make a lot of noise and talk and always travel in groups of what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, at least 3.
At least 3. And I had a situation like that up in Alaska too. There were 3 of us plus horses. We were on horseback in the Alaska range, and we came up over a little rise, and here is a sow with 2 little ear cubs of the ear. That's the most dangerous. And she sees us and stands up and gives us that grizzly look. When the 2 cubs are doing the same thing, they kick, imitating mama. But we were on those big horses, and there were 3 of us, and we went, hey bear, hey bear. She swapped ends and ran up and over the hill with those cubs. But if we hadn't been on a horse, I wonder how intimidated she would have been.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's where you want to have your bear spray and or your very short and handy handgun.
And that's where they've been hunted. But like Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, they haven't been hunted for, 50 years?
Yeah,
And so they have,
back to the 70s.
a lot of them will run off and a lot of them don't because you're like second on the list, buddy. I mean, I'm up here and the humans are down here. And if there's some food there, they're coming to get it because they have no fear of you.
Who was that, or when was that, when that woman biker was in town sleeping in a tent?
Oh, it was at in Ovando. She was sleeping behind the post office. So they had food in the tent, and then the bear came, and then they ran it off, and then they got rid of the food, but the smell's still there, and the bear thinks the food's still there. So it came back, actually grabbed her by the neck and pulled her out and killed her.
Hey.
But see, she shouldn't have had food in that tent, even in town.
How many times do you hear this in Montana? You said there's like every month there's some kind of an attack or something.
Seems to be.
How many times a year does somebody get killed by a grizzly bear?
Once every few years.
Once every few or so?
Yep.
But it's and this is another point. You know, people say, well, your odds are really low. And Betsy always says, yeah, but if it's me out there, and the odds are pretty high if the grizzly is actually attacking me.
A lot of times, I mean, they just want to beat you up.
Oh, just let them?
Well, you don't have any choice.
Well, you do if you have the proper equipment to fend an attack off, right?
Well, I don't know if I have the wherewithal to do that. I mean, here's something coming like a freight train, and are you going to freeze up, or are you going to be Superman and stand there and pull your?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we all imagine we're going to be the hero of the day, but
I might just crawl up. When they say, crawl up on a ball and protect the back of your neck, maybe that's the best thing to do.
yeah, might
Because
be.
I don't know if you're not a black bear, fight it, but a grizzly bear, you think you can have a punching match with a grizzly bear? It ain't going to work.
Yeah, that's interesting with the black bear, because of course everybody says, well, it's just a little black bear. They're afraid of you. They don't bother you. Yet they've killed more people in the U.S. of A. in North America than grizzlies.
Yeah.
But part of the reason, of course, is that black bears are coast to coast, and
there's lots of them.
Lots of them, and they go from Alaska clear down into Mexico, so there's a lot more chances you're going to bump into them.
And if they stalk you, they're coming to eat you.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've read a lot of accounts where the black bears are attacking you. They're in predatory mode.
Yeah, and
they're
you
not
better
defending.
fight back. And you got time to get your pistol out. We were in Alaska, and my son was doing a race out of Anchorage, and a 16-year-old boy, I mean, that black bear hunted him down and killed him.
Really?
Right outside of Anchorage.
How long ago was that? Recently?
6 years ago.
That's
That
recently.
would have been about 8 years ago. Almost
And he was texting his mother on the phone. He was on the phone at the time, telling his mother, this bear is following me. It won't leave me alone.
Ooh, yeah.
And Gail was just with our granddaughter, just up the trail from him.
You were out there at the time?
Yeah, with the granddaughter.
Whoa.
Yeah, and my daughter-in-law had gone a little farther up the trail, and I think she got some bad vibes. She said, I think we've come far enough. And so we went back to the parking lot, and then later heard that this
She just had an
man
intuition, huh?
Yeah.
had been
Wow.
stopped.
But I mean, that's rare. But
Yeah, but again, rare, but when it happens to you, doesn't matter how
Yeah,
rare
it
it is for
is.
everybody else, you're in it.
yeah,
Man, yeah, I think here's the thing about bear spray. I think there's enough evidence that it works pretty well to fairly well. But can you get it, like you said, can you get it out and use it in time? Because
A lot
I'm
of
sure
times-
most people just have it hanging on their hip.
if you got it in a holster, don't even take it out of the holster. Just shoot from the hip. Or,
Shoot from the hip.
Or a lot on their chest. Just shoot right there. You're going to gas yourself, and you're going to turn your eyes, flavor yourself for the bear maybe. But don't even take it out of the holster. Just take the clip off and shoot it.
Okay, so it takes practice, regardless how to do it. I
you
mean,
can buy the practice cans. We have
they've
them
got
at
practice cans.
At Hunter Safety, we have practice cans.
Okay. So, and I think that would be essential. I mean, you not only spray it a couple of times and say, okay, this is how it works,
And-
but do it often enough so that
Yeah.
it's automatic.
And get the clip off.
Get
safety
all
clip.
that stuff. So there's kind of a safety clip so it doesn't actually accidentally go off. So you need to learn how to pop that off like a safety on
And
a
you
gun.
want not old stuff, because a friend of mine, he had his wife and daughter down here, and he was up here bugling elk, and a mountain lion came to between him and looking for the bugle. So he gets his old bear spray out and shoots, but it went. So he aimed up higher, and this time it went over the top of the mountain lion and gassed his wife and his daughter. So then the lion goes, I'm going to leave now. So his wife and daughter are down there flopping around on the ground.
Sprayed his wife and daughter.
Yeah, he gassed him pretty good, but the first one went. Put.
Oh, geez. Well, guys, whatever you use, learn how to use it. Practice, train. Try not to spray your family.
But those bears belong there. I mean, grizzly bears, they belong out there. I mean, that makes the country that more interesting.
Oh, yeah. I love to know that we have enough wild country left that you've got that sort of thing. To think that we would wipe all of the bears out, all the wolves, all the cougars, whatever we don't particularly like. Well, there's always somebody who doesn't like something, and pretty soon you end up with nothing.
Yeah.
I know it would be a pretty boring planet if we didn't have all these different species. I could do without mosquitoes, mind you, and ticks. I had 3 ticks on me the other day in North Carolina. Tick-fested country, I'll tell you. Any rate, Betsy had something she was going to say.
Can you take bear spray on a small plane in Alaska?
Can you
They
take
put it
bear
on the
spray?
wing. They keep it outside and they put it on the wing.
Can it balance out there?
No, they'll tape it. Yeah, you just stand, hold your hand out there. But no, they tape it on the wing, on the strut.
Okay.
They'll have a box there, or they'll duct tape it on there.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it inside. But yeah, they'll duct tape it on the strut of the wing.
Well, how long does a can of bear spray remain effective? If
I
you don't
shot
spray
some
it?
that was 5 years old last week, and it still was pretty good. But I would say every second year buy a new can, and then take that old can and practice with it,
Okay, good point. Yeah, and that stuff's not cheap.
and get the big. If you could
Big
get one
size.
like the size of a fire, extinguisher, the bigger the better. Because
Yeah, just don't want to carry a 10-pound fire extinguisher around.
A
with
can
me.
like that, just like 3 seconds of gas.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so my brother's friend in Shoshone Lake in Yellowstone, he gassed a grizzly at evening, and it ran away. But then, I'm in the dark. I don't have any bear spray left. So he carries 2 cans now.
Yeah, because when you've had like 8 grizzlies in one orchard and 6 grizzlies on the dead cows, yeah, there's probably more than one around.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's going. From now on, I carry 2.
Wow. Now, any other close friends or family who had bear incidents?
Not really.
Not that the 6 dead cows with the 6 bears on them isn't a good enough one for any family, but you seem to have more connections with bears and family members than most people.
They ranch in the Big Blackfoot Valley, and there's bears there all the time.
All the time.
Except in the middle of the winter. Other than that, and they collect all their dead cattle. The fishing game comes around and they'll stack them and they get them out of there.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, but okay, so then now you're removing a source of food for the bears.
And so they go somewhere else.
You go somewhere else, but then they're going to cause trouble where they go to.
That's your neighbor's problem. But the whole valley, they collect all that.
So they kind of keep the whole valley clear.
Yeah.
So, John, do you think we're going to have to start shooting grizzly bears again or hunting them?
Yeah, sure, fine. But if there's going to be a season, if you want to reduce the population, if there's going to be a season, it's single bears only, no family units. So you're killing males.
Yeah.
And males, if they see a female with cubs, they're going to kill those cubs so she'll go into heat again. So all you're doing is getting more grizzly bears because that male's not going to kill any young ones.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact, I guess, that most people don't care to want to believe it or something.
Yeah.
But the male grizzly bears are actually a deterrent on the population increasing because, like John said, they pretty routinely will try to kill the cubs so they can then breed the sow.
Yep.
So they're keeping the population down. But I think the point that a lot of people make about we've got to start shooting some grizzly bears is to put the fear of God into them again.
Well,
if
you killed that bear, that he doesn't have any fear of God anymore because he's dead.
Well, I think the idea is that you're going to miss the bear and scare him. And then he's going to say, I'm not going to hang around with these guys like John because he always is slinging bullets at me, but not close enough to hurt me, just enough to scare me.
Well,
is that legit?
Even when there was a season, there was still problems. But, there's just a lot of them now.
So you think it's mostly there's just so many bears. It's not that they're any more aggressive than they ever were?
Yeah.
Remember the guy that was managing bears up in the Kalispell area back in the late 80s, mid 80s?
Severinsen, Chris, is it?
Yeah, that was, no. This was a game warden who had caught a problem grizzly bear in one of those culvert traps.
Yeah.
And he drove him out into the boonies to turn him loose.
Oh, and then they got out
and he had a rope where from the cab, he would pull on this rope and it would lift the gate and the bear would run out. But it was stuck. So he gets out of the truck, he gets on top of the culvert trap, he reaches down and gets that metal bar gate and hoists it up, and the grizzly says, "You're the SOB that's been harassing me." And he
pull it over.
Up, pulls the whole thing out of the back of the truck with the game warden tumbling on top of him, and then they get to wrestling on the ground.
And he killed it with his .357.
With the last shot.
Yeah.
6th shot got the bear. Must have hit him in the spine or the head.
So anyway, they don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore. I'll bet you they don't.
But it's a big problem.
So does this keep you and your family out of the woods? Yeah, I know you love to hunt. You go for berries.
Every time we go hunting, pretty much we see grizzly tracks.
So you're always assuming they're going to be around.
And then it just adds a little spice to life, tell you the truth.
Do you solo hunt or you always go in teams?
I hunt with my son, but most of the year I hunt by myself. And you know what? I'd take it that way. You want to die in a car wreck, or you want to die like a man?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There you
go.
go.
Cut that off right now.
No, I want John to die like a man so I can go cover that story.
Good for you.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. One of these days we're going to be doing, my good friend John went out the way he wanted to with a grizzly. Now, the grizzly was dead, so was John, but there were no automobiles involved in this collision.
There, I quit.
He went out like a real man. And the bear went out like a real bear. And the Chevy is still sitting in the parking lot. Well, have you got anything else to add? Some good advice for our listeners, especially the ones who are in New York and are coming out to visit Montana to see a grizzly bear.
If you see one, you're a lucky person.
Really?
Yep.
Where would you go to see one?
Oh, Yellowstone and Glacier.
Which one's better?
Yellowstone, probably.
Really?
Lamar Valley.
I always used to figure Glacier was a better spot.
Well,
that's where I've seen most of them.
Every time we go to Lamar Valley, there's a bear. There's another.
Really?
Last week, there's 3 up there.
Yeah. See, last summer, my daughter and I were in Yellowstone, and we saw 2 wolves and a grizzly in the same spot. Mm-hmm. Hayden Valley, Few people were pulled over. Okay, what are they looking at? And they were way out there. The wolves were. Got on the spotting scope. Okay, there the wolves were. And then the bear came around the corner. He was going along Slough Creek, I think it is.
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes through there. No, Slough Creek's up north. What's that creek that goes into Hayden Valley and into the river?
Which one is
That one.
Soda Butte Creek?
That sounds
Yeah,
right.
Soda
Soda
Butte
Butte
Creek.
Creek. So the bear was hunting ground squirrels along there, and he was staying out of range. He's probably out there at 300 yards, 250, and we were sitting there watching him. And of course, then all the cars started pulling in, and here come the ranger, and of course he's got to make sure everybody gets back in their cars and nobody gets close to the bear and all the rest of it. But it all worked out. Everybody got to see the bear and have a little thrill and excitement and watch him do his hunting thing out there. But at 300, 200 yards even, you've got time to jump in your truck if you stay right close to it, and you're ambulatory enough to jump in a hurry if he comes. But yeah, they're there. So if you guys want to see bears, I think Montana is probably your best bet or your closest bet, unless you're wanting to fly up to Alaska.
Well, Yellowstone's in Wyoming.
Yeah. So
Montana owns this much of the park. The
Oh,
rest
yeah,
of it's
that's right.
Wyoming.
Yeah, and Idaho has this little sliver.
Yeah.
But that's the sliver in which all the man-eating bears seem to live.
Oh,
Because that island park country, when people are up there hunting in the fall, it seems like there's an altercation with a grizzly every other week.
yep.
Now, it's just all the nasty ones must get dumped off in Idaho. Now, John, you like bear spray. You think it works. You've seen it work, or your son at least has seen it work, some of your friends, and you have demonstrated that you carry it in the park where that's your only option.
I carry it hunting. I carry it all the time.
All right, so you've got your bear spray on. Do you ever carry a handgun?
Yeah, I carry it. 44 Magnum Smith & Wesson 329 PD,
Well-
titanium frame,
Yeah?
because it's light and it's right here in the chest holster.
Ah,
And I load a 250 grain flat nose or cast bullet.
you cast them yourself?
Yeah,
Hey, this is cool, guys. John, old school John here.
I got
he,
like 5 bullet molds for 44.
He makes his own bullets. Is that cool or what?
But it's a mid-range load because that, I mean, if you put a Magma load in that, your guns are clean back here. And so a mid-range load, I can get 6 shots off fairly quick.
So real hard bullets going to penetrate
Yeah.
plenty
And it's
deep
big
enough?
big flat point.
Flat nose on it, so it's a straight line penetrator.
It's RC or it's Elmer Keith designed 250 grain flat
Well,
nose.
there you go, folks. If it's an Elmer Keith design, those
But
bears
I-
don't
I,
stand a chance.
I powder coat them too.
Powder coat them.
In other words, spray this powder coat on and bake it on,
Yeah?
so there's no smoke from the lube.
Oh.
And
So you've got lube grooves in these bullets.
Yeah,
See,
but
this
you
is
don't need, you don't really. That's the old design, but the new one you don't need those lube grooves because there's the powder coating is what.
lubricates the
Yeah.
bullet. Why do you need a lubricated bullet? Because of the lead. You're going so fast that you're stripping
well, you just
lead.
you want it to lube the barrel so you don't have any leading.
Yeah, you don't want to get lead
Yeah.
fouling. That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons that they went to jacketed bullets. Now, when did they start making jacketed bullets? As soon as the smokeless powder came out, right?
Yeah,
Because they were going so fast that they were stripping in the barrel.
yeah. Before the 30-40 Craig.
Yeah. So 1890, 1888, somewhere in there. Yeah, about 86 or so is when they got the first smokeless powder. I think the French did it, and then the Germans picked it up, and pretty soon everybody was using it. They had to jacket the bullets. And now you're going back to the good old lead bullet, so you have to powder coat it.
Or when you run them through a lubricizer, it sizes them the correct and it shoots that groove, that lubrication in the grooves
Some
there.
grease, essentially.
Yeah.
Grease in your bullets. Wow, that's different. Yeah, most people don't know anything about that. I've not used those
But I
myself.
got four or five different molds for that pistol, but
And that's what
or
you're
a
looking at.
357 with a 200 grain flat point.
You like that one?
Easier to control. It's going out of the 4-inch barrel. It's going 1150, and I could crank that up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll beat a 10 millimeter, which everybody just thinks is their darling bear gun.
Yeah, that is real popular right now. And I
But
think
that revolver, if you got good ammunition in it, properly hand loaded, you pull the trigger, it's going off. It's not going to jam.
yeah,
ever.
and it's not going to not fire because you're right on the bear's right on
Yeah.
top of you and the muzzle's against him and it won't fire.
Yeah, like in 1911.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good reasoning. Right now, the 10 millimeter autoloader seems to be everybody's darling for bear protection.
And they say 1,200 feet a second with a 10 millimeter. That's stoking it hot. I mean, if you get a 200 grain going at 1,200, that's a terrible hot load in an autoloader.
Yeah.
And it's a good cartridge, though. I mean, 10 millimeters.
Yeah, but your 357 is doing a little
Yeah.
bit hotter than that.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, not much different, but a little bit more. But that 200 flat nose is another cast bullet. And I mean, it'll go through like, I don't know, cords of firewood. I mean,
Well, so what does this rig weigh?
I think the 44 Smith is like 32 or 36 ounces. I mean, it doesn't hardly weigh anything, and that's why I don't shoot a Magnum load in it. But that's why I'll carry it. Because a friend of mine would carry a 44, and at the end of the day, he says, God, I'm tired from carrying that gun. But he's carrying a great big Super Blackhawk like this.
Yeah. You can't whip that out fast enough to use it anyway.
But I put it in there in the chest holster, and I don't know where it's there till end of the day.
What did you say your barrel length was?
4 inches.
4 inches, yeah. That seems about pretty good compromise. 3.5 to 4 inch barrel should be about right.
Yeah.
Now, what's with that load going that you built? How fast?
1150.
1150. That's still pretty fast.
Yeah. And you can crank it up some more, a couple hundred feet more.
But I think it's more important for what you talk about the recoil, staying on target, right?
Yeah, shoot some 300s in that. You shoot a cylinder full of 300s, you get in your car, you can't hold on to the steering wheel because your hands are numb.
Oh,
You
wow.
can't, you try to drive down, you can't hold on the steering wheel.
300 grain bullet, yeah, that's
And
a lot
they're
of
terrible
mass.
to shoot.
Yeah, if you guys are worried about recoil, you get recoil from a combination of the muzzle velocity and the weight of the ejecta. So you go to heavier bullets, you're going to get more recoil. But if you go to more powder, you're going to get a little more recoil. You go to the heavier bullet, it seems like you get a way more recoil from the heavier bullet than you do the increased velocity.
I also have a 200 grain, shoot a little bit faster, and that recoils quite a bit less. Mm-hmm. And it's big flat point.
Now, how often do you practice with this rig?
I shoot 350 rounds a summer, do that 44. But I shoot a 200 cast with 4 grains of Clay's powder. So it's a...
Oh, you're just, getting...
Because if I shot 300 of those Magnum ones,
Yeah.
my hands would be going like this.
Yeah, and you probably teach yourself to flinch.
But it's get a pistol on at 10, 15 yards, shoot.
So what's your practice load?
That 200 grain flat nose with 4 grains of powder.
4 grains of powder.
Yeah.
Got to be a special kind of powder or anything?
Clay's, Hodgson's Clay's.
Okay, that's a recipe.
Yeah.
What of that thing going? Not very fast at all.
850?
850. That's not. I mean, that would probably work.
Maybe.
You'd do more than scare the bear with that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's
great
a
to
nice,
practice.
I mean, it's nice to practice with.
So, do you practice the whole thing like la la la? I'm walking along, hiking, all of a sudden, bear attack! Boom!
No, I put it on the bench because I don't want to I pull the trigger when I don't have any ribs left.
Well,
No, I put it on the bench. I'll pick it up from the bench and do it.
so you've got to figure out how to grab a hold of it and get
Yeah,
in
but
position, but not accidentally shoot your leg.
Because there's a lot of people that pull out their pistol out there and shoot themselves through the leg, especially with a Glock.
And then they're not going to get away from the bear.
No, because they flop over like that. So there's a lot of people that pull a handgun on a bear and shot themselves.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, but
Oh, yeah.
usually through the leg.
Okay, well, you still need to practice your draw and all the rest of it, so you better do it with an empty gun, right?
Yeah, I guess you can sit in the front of the TV at night and do that. Your wife might call the police on you.
Yeah.
I think he's gone over the deep edge.
Well, I think maybe Gail's done that a time or two with you.
No, she has her 22 over on the other couch, going like this.
If you don't stop messing with that pistol, this thing might go off. Oh, jeez.
But Gail, she has a 357, and she hasn't shot it in a while. But I mean, she's a good shot with it. But she doesn't shoot enough, so she just carries bear spray.
She didn't feel comfortable for bear defense.
A revolver or automatic, they're dangerous. I mean, they're made to kill things. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of people shot themselves with or shot their partner.
Yeah.
Up in 5 or 6 years ago, there's some guys black bear hunting from Pennsylvania up in the northwest corner of Montana, and they got in a big fight with a bear, and one of the guys shot at the bear and shot across the bear and shot his partner. And they thought, the bear beat him up. No, later found out that his partner had shot him with a rifle.
With a rifle?
Yeah. So, it's compound confusion when that stuff happens.
Can't imagine. So I think this is what I would recommend. I'm anything but an expert on this, but if you're going to have a handgun and use that for your protection, you've got to have some kind of a rig where you can get access to it. It sounds like you like the chest
Yeah.
rather than a holster in the side.
Yeah, because if it's on that side, your hammer's digging into your rifle.
Yeah, and you got a pack on, then you got a strap across it and all that. Yeah, it seems like most guys go with that chest rig. Then you have to have a short barrel so that it's maneuverable in a hurry.
Yeah.
You don't want to pull 6 inches of barrel out of that.
And it rides better too.
Yeah, and it's a little bit lightweight. You like the lightweight. You're not going to be shooting it a lot, so don't worry about, it's too much recoil. It's going to be a one and done quick kind of a deal. You might get 3 shots off at the bear before he bites you, but all right, so you're looking for quick, fast, handy, and you're going to carry it all the time. You're not going to leave it behind because it's
if I
too
go
heavy.
berry picking or we hike or whatever, I carry that pistol.
You're carrying it. Okay.
Yep.
And then you need to practice the draw with an empty gun so you don't shoot yourself in the process until you get really good at figuring out how to grab that thing, how to pull it back.
Yeah.
You cocking the hammer, you double actioning.
The first one I cock and the rest
After
of them
that,
are double
double.
action. 'Cause
Okay.
it comes out like that and you got 2 hands on it. So if you have a super Blackhawk Ruger,
Yep.
I mean, it's single action. So it comes in recoil and you grab it and pull it forward and it cocks it. So every time you shoot it, you're just bringing it forward and you're cocking it again. And I mean, somebody that knows what they're doing with a single action revolver, I mean, they're a good shot and they're good with it. I mean,
They're fast.
real fast.
Mm-hmm. See, I got that comment. We had a gentleman on. He was from Alaska, Morris Milani, and he was using a single action. What was it, a 45 Colt, I think?
Yeah, that's a small frame
Yeah.
Ruger.
Yeah, and he really liked that. And a lot of guys said, what kind of an idiot would carry a single action?
Well, when you see somebody that knows what they're doing with one, I mean, they're fast and that plow handle grip, I mean, it's just made to rotate in your hand and we come it back down and you're cocking it when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the guys that shoot them, they know what they're doing.
Huh. So
And
it
a
is
45
legit.
Colt is a pretty good cartridge, period.
Oh, I take it back. It was a 454. No, it was the 45. He tried a 454 Casull and didn't like the recoil, couldn't control it enough, and did go with the 45 Colt
Yeah.
and the hard cast loads he built. Yeah, true. Well, good observation there. So you've got the rig, you practice with that so you can grab it and do it fast and blah, blah, blah. But then you have to practice actually sending some rounds down range,
Yeah.
but you recommend the super light loads, not
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
squid,
because
but-
I mean, after a cylinder full of those magnums, like,
yeah. And then when you actually are packing it for the bears, you've got your full weight
Yeah.
bullet load and the rest of it. And then with that adrenaline, you're not going to feel any recoil.
no, you still feel it.
You still feel
But I mean, it's that all that practice is ingrained in your head. So I mean, you know, like the Army, they practice, and the same with the police, they practice and practice. So it's ingrained. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's coming out, and you're like that.
Yeah, you can't be second thinking. You
No,
really
yeah.
don't think at all. It's just all trained muscle memory sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why the police practice all the time. And
Okay. All right. Now here we're going to throw you a curveball. You said you prefer the bear spray, but you're also carrying the pistol, carrying a wheel gun. I like the wheel gun idea myself. For a while I was thinking 10 millimeter all loader, but the more I think about it, I'm thinking 357 with heavy loads. Maybe a 41 mag. A lot of guys say that's a little less recoil than the 44. You don't hear
all
much
the
about it.
41s are big frame,
Oh, they all big
like the
frame. They're
Smith and
made
Wesson's a
lightweights.
large frame.
Yeah.
Same with the Ruger's large frame.
Okay. Yeah, you want to keep your weight down, guys, because you're going to have to lug this thing around. And I don't care what you say about what a man you are, toughen it up and all that stuff. Yeah, it sounds good. But over time, you just start to go, gosh, I'm tired of dragging that thing around.
Yep.
I think I'll leave it behind. There's no bears around here. That's when he'll show up, and you need it. But you're also carrying your bear spray, right?
Yep.
Same time? Every
Yep.
time?
Yep.
How do you decide which one you're going to go for?
Hell if I know.
That's the issue that I'm wondering about.
I mean, if it's right there, I mean, if you think I can get this out, because I don't have to be a good shot with a bear spray.
You have to be a good thought, not a good shot. A good thought. And if your brain is going left or right, gun or spray, what's it going to be? Crunch, Mr. Bear's got you.
Well, when I get to that, I'll burn that bridge when I get there.
This is part of the story I'll be doing soon on John's encounter with the grizzly bear.
Yeah, I'll burn that bridge when I get to it.
All right, all you bears out there, let me know ahead of time, if you can, what your planned attack is, the date and the time and the place. I'll show up with the cameras, and we will get ourselves a viral video. We're going into the millions on this one. The day the grizzly ate John.
Do I get 10%?
Yeah, we'll give you 10%.
Post.
Post, yeah. I think we'll give it to Gail.
She'll write up a contract.
All right, folks. Hey, this is Ron Spomer with my good friend John Haviland. It's always good to talk to John. Whether his stories have a little bit of truth in them or not, I don't know, but they're entertaining. Actually, I do believe him. He's never really pulled any fast ones on me. He likes to tease me a lot, but got some good general advice about life in Montana with grizzly bears, black bears, and wives and kids and friends and neighbors and foreigners who show up and shoot their friends over the top of a bear.
Yeah.
It's dangerous out there. Your best bet is to stay home, stay in the city. Well, wait a minute. That might not be any safer than being out in grizzly country. Suit yourselves, everybody. This is Ron Spomer with John Haviland. Hunt honest, shoot straight, and be bear aware.